Very good evening and welcome to Primetime News here on TV1. You're joining me, David Paldano. Now, before we head into your stories in more detail, let's first take a look at your headlines this evening.
President explains stance on organic fertilizer, says he will implement difficult decisions.
මම බය නැතුව කියනවා මට ඡන්ද නෙමෙයි ඕන මට ඕන රටට ජනතාවට ඉදිරි පරම්පරාවට හොඳ දෙයක් කරන්න.
Where is the ship carrying fertilizer from China? Sri Lanka denies entry.
දිගින් දිගටම කරන මේ බලහත්කාරී මෙදියත් වීම නතර කළ යුතුයි කියලා අපි යෝජනා කරන්නේ.
The 11 parties rejected by the president conduct a special meeting.
අපට බලෙන් එතුමා එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න බෑ නෙවෙයි. ඉතින් අපි මහජනයා එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරනවා.
Pope sends handwritten letter to the cardinal.
In his own handwriting, he sent this letter to me.
Now on to headline-making stories. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says he gave priority to farmers over votes in the decision to promote organic farming.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa visited an organic fertilizer factory and an organic cultivation in Udalbadava. 12 tons of compost fertilizer are produced monthly at a factory using earthworms.
ගොම ගැඩවිල් පණුවන්ට ආහාරයට දීලා ගැඩවිල් පණුවන් හරහා ජීර්ණය කරගත්තොත් ඒ ගොම වල තියෙන ගුණාත්මක භාවය 4 ගුණයකින් වැඩි කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
Fruits such as papaya, banana, passion fruit and vegetables like cabbage and beetroot have been cultivated on a 13-acre land using organic fertilizer.
මම විශ්වාස කරන්නේ මාව පත් කරේ.
I believe there is no point if I was elected only to maintain the cost of dal and rice. I am here to make a difference. Farmers are being provoked to demand chemical fertilizers, but a person who asks for chemical fertilizer should also ask for a kidney. China has built a large hospital for kidney patients in Polonnaruwa. Is that what we need to do? We need to take these measures for the future generations.
අපි කරන්නට ඕන. නෑ අපි මේක ඉදිරි පරම්පරාවෙන් අපි මේ කාර්ය කරන්න ඕන. මේක වෙනසක් කරන්නට ඕන.
The president says he is ready to implement difficult decisions by disregarding political benefits.
කනගාටුයි කියන්නේ දේශපාලනය කළා ආපු නායක.
It's sad to say that a leader with a political background will not get involved in this. Why is that? It might cost them votes. I don't need votes. I want to do something good for the people and the country. We didn't use urea for thousands of years. Urea was imported in the 1970s. I have seen how my parents used to cultivate without urea before that. The environment, water and the harvest was also good.
යූරියා ගාවේ නෑ. ඒ පරිසරයත් හොඳයි, වතුරත් හොඳයි, රාස් වෙන්නකුත් හොඳයි.
11 parties in the government, including the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, met today. They discussed matters on an agreement to sell shares of the Yugadanavi power plant to the US-based New Fortress company.
ඒවා ඒකත් ඇතුළත් තවත් බොහෝ දේවල් ගැන කතා කරලා අපි ඒකමතික භාවයකට ආවා. බලාගාරික විසමට විරුද්ධයි ඉන්නේ.
නමුත් ඉතින් අස්සම් කල් ඉවරයි නේද? දැන් මේක ඉවරයි නේද?
ඉවර නෑ කිසි දෙයක්. දේශපාලන බලය මත සියල්ල ඉවර වෙන්නේ.
එතකොට දැන් මොකද ආණ්ඩුවට කියන්න හදන්නේ?
ආණ්ඩුවට මොකුත් කියන්නේ නෑ. අපි කියන දෙයක් කියන්නේ මේ රට මිනිස්සුන්ට.
ජනාධිපතිතුමා ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරා නේද ඔබතුමාලත් එක්ක තියෙන සාකච්ඡාව?
හමුවීමක්. ඔව්.
එතකොට දැන් කොහොමද ඒකට තියෙන ප්‍රතිචාර?
එතුමා ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරා නම් අපිට බලෙන් එතුමා එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරන්න බෑ නෙවෙයි. ඉතින් අපි මහජනයා එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ මොනවද සාකච්ඡා කරේ?
ඒවා අභ්‍යන්තර කාරණා නේ එහෙම කියන්න පුළුවන්ද?
දැන් මේ LNG බලාගාරය විකිණීම සම්බන්ධයෙන් ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ඔබතුමාලා සාකච්ඡාවක් ඉල්ලලා තිබුණේ. ඒ සාකච්ඡාවට මොනවද පිළිතුරු ලැබුණේ?
අපිට පිළිතුරක් ලැබුණා. හෙට ජනාධිපතිතුමා පක්ෂණ අපේ හෙට තියෙන පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී කණ්ඩායම රැස්වීම. එතෙන්දි මේ ගැන අපිත් එක්ක කතා කරාවි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ ජනාධිපතිතුමා මේ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමාලා ඉල්ලලා දුන්නේ පක්ෂ 11ම
අපිට පක්ෂ වලට වෙනම දුන්නේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු කණ්ඩායමේ සාකච්ඡා කරමු කියලා තමයි කියලා තිබ්බේ.
ඒ කියන්නේ පක්ෂ නායක සදා දරුවත් කළ දුන්නේ.
Farmers of the Nochiagama H zone staged a protest opposite the court complex in the area.
Farmers protested for about an hour by blocking the Anuradhapura-Colombo main road.
Farmers have never taken to the streets and asked food from the government, but it has reached that stage today. Although we will call this off today, it won't be too long before we march to Colombo. Ministers have been asking us to till lands twice or thrice. We wish to say that we will only do that only after tying them to the trees.
The Federation of Tea Smallholders staged a protest in Matara this morning. They complained that the fertilizer shortage has affected tea cultivations.
Tea is grown on hills. Who will supply water to the hills to cultivate tea using nano-fertilizer? The country is facing a situation that's similar to how the Taliban grew power. They must listen to the people.
Water is being released to fields due to wrong decisions made at cultivation season meetings. Farmers of Damana in Ampara say they are not ready to begin cultivation. But water has been released through canals to 4,500 acres of paddy fields. We don't have fertilizer, pesticides or weedicides. We are helpless. We are waiting until we receive them. The water is being wasted. We don't have fertilizer or pesticides to cultivate. Farmers are requesting fertilizer. We don't need it free of charge. At least sell it to us. We can't engage in farming. We don't have food either. We will be dead by the next season without food or water.
The President's Secretary has instructed the police to investigate whether a fraud had taken place when importing fertilizer from India.
Yesterday, JVP parliamentarian Vijitha Herath told Parliament Sri Lanka had paid 290 million rupees to a company formed on the 17th of this month. This was to purchase liquid nano-nitrogen fertilizer from India. He said only 92 million had been spent to import fertilizer and that the balance money is still in the company's account.
PB Jayasundara මහත්තයා උඩින් මැදිහත් වෙලා මහජන බැංකුවට නියෝග කරනවා වෙනම පෞද්ගලික ගිණුමක්.
PB Jayasundara has intervened and instructed the People's Bank to open a new account in its town hall branch. What is the name of the new account? United Farmers Trust Limited. That means a new company has been formed on the 18th. The funds of People's Bank is transferred to the account of a private company. This isn't a small amount. It's $1.257 million. How can the People's Bank transfer a large amount of money to a private company? Who are the directors of this company? One is G. Mohan T. Pereira. Who is Mohan Pereira? The other one is PVGM Veerasinghe. The People's Bank has transferred 290 million to that account. That company has paid $300,000 to the Indian fertilizer company. $50,000 has been paid as freight charges and another $37,000 for other expenses. Out of the 290 million rupees, they had spent only 92 million rupees. 21.2 million is there in that account. These directors have repeatedly requested the People's Bank to convert this money to rupees. Why are they trying to convert this money to rupees? They need US dollars to import nitrogen fertilizer. But why are they converting the money into rupees?
The President's media division issued a statement based on these remarks that was published by a newspaper. The newspaper reported that the President's secretary had intervened to transfer 290 million rupees to a private account to import fertilizer from India. The report adds that President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara had exerted pressure repeatedly on the People's Bank to open the bank account. But in a statement, the President's Secretary rejected he had intervened to transfer 290 million rupees to a private bank account to import fertilizer from India. President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara called the claims false and malicious and had instructed the Inspector General of Police to investigate it. Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka India Trade and Investment Promotion Chamber has issued a statement on behalf of the United Farmers Trust Limited. This was the company that had received money for the fertilizer imports. The statement identified 5 shareholders of the company. They are Sri Lanka India Trade and Investment Promotion Chamber, Sri Lanka European Union Business Council, Sri Lanka Gulf Trade and Investment Promotion Chamber, Ceylon Oil and Energy Private Limited, and Mohan Pereira. The statement said United Farmers Trust Limited would invest $200 million to produce organic fertilizer and pesticides in Sri Lanka. It said this would be based on President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's move towards green agriculture. The company has obtained 30 acres of land in Mihintale to start the first factory. This area could be expanded until 125 acres. The Sri Lanka India Trade and Investment Promotion Chamber has condemned claims that the United Farmers Trust Limited is a new company that opened an account on the 18th of October. They said money was deposited in its account to pay cargo charges, fees for Sri Lankan Airlines, the import controller license fee, and freight charges. The statement also clarifies claims that the company had paid only $387 and $72 to the Indian company, from which fertilizer was imported. It says the company had realized that 100,000 liters of nano-nitrogen cannot be loaded onto the cargo aircraft only after booking the Sri Lankan Airlines cargo flight and after the Treasury had transferred the money. The statement explains that the payment was made for only 1/3 of the capacity that was flown to the country. Opposition parliamentarians and the Agriculture Minister commented on this today.
The State Minister was there at the airport. I feel they are all behind this incident. Otherwise, there is no need to open private bank accounts. This isn't a business. On whose wishes was the company registered? It is based on the wishes of the Agriculture Secretary, Agriculture State Minister, Agriculture Minister Mahindananda Aluthgamage, the Finance Secretary or President Secretary P.B. Jayasundara, who instructed to create these bank accounts, who instructed to transfer the money to this company. The President has instructed the CID to conduct an investigation. We are importing nitrogen fertilizer from an Indian state company. We have reached an agreement on this with the Indian government and a Farmers Association of the Indian High Commission. This is a transaction between the governments of India and Sri Lanka. That company has named a local agent. The money has been paid to that company. This is the company which opens LCs. They will receive the money. Nothing wrong has happened. A fraud hasn't occurred. The Indian and Sri Lankan government haven't signed an agreement to import nano-nitrogen fertilizer. The government has made the payments to a private company of 2 people. The first payment of $1.3 million was made to the private account of 2 people. These are 2 Sri Lankans. Is this the Indian government? Is the Indian government opening bank accounts at People's Bank?
Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa paid attention to the fertilizer shortage during the Govi Hadagasma program in Tissa Maharama today.
Diyara pohora nano nitrogen pohora laba denuwai කියන එකේ නාමෙන් මේ රටේ ජනතාවගේ සල්ලි.
They have transferred public funds to a private account saying they would give liquid nano-nitrogen fertilizer. This is a misuse of state funds. Who did this? Upon whose orders was this done? A transparent investigation must be carried out into this. If a transaction has taken place between 2 governments, the money has to be paid by the Sri Lankan government to the foreign government or the foreign state company and not to a private company. The government is acting to increase the burden on the people and to destroy their lives. In addition to the fertilizer crisis, we are also seeing a corrupt deal for fertilizer. They are looting money through fertilizer. They are doing this at the expense of the people's lives. They are looting the people's money. they are looting national assets.
මේ රටේ ජනතා මුදල් මේ ගසා ගන්න මේ රටේ ජාතික දේපල ජාතික සම්පත.
The opposition leader inspected the Badagiri River as well. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, former President Maithripala Sirisena, expressed his views on the fertilizer crisis. I spoke to everyone responsible in the governing faction when this came to the fore. I said that this cannot be done hastily and that a proper plan is needed. Even I started organic farming. Those programs were started as pilot projects. This is something we should do step by step, looking at a 10-year plan or a 5-year plan. We as the Sri Lanka Freedom Party explained facts to the government regarding this. We have highlighted complications of the fertilizer crisis. We have fulfilled our responsibility. However, our ideas and proposals were neglected by the government. That is why we have no choice but to face the current situation. If the farmers will get some concession through the effort taken by the government to solve this issue, that is the need of the hour.
While issues arise on the decision to import liquid nitrogen fertilizer from India, another issue has arisen on the fertilizer stocks which were to be imported from China. This was after reports emerged on a ship nearing Sri Lanka with 20,000 metric tons of fertilizer stocks from China's Qingdao Seawind Biotech Group Limited. The Colombo port's harbour master, Nirmal Silva, said a stern directive has been issued to prevent the ship from entering the port. The National Plant Quarantine Service had informed the Colombo port that the ship would arrive with 20,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer yesterday. But the harbour master says the ship hasn't reached Sri Lanka yet. Meanwhile, China's Qingdao Seawind Biotech Group Limited company has written to the Director General of Agriculture, Professor Ajantha De Silva, yesterday. It said the presence of Erwinia bacteria in their stocks was detected due to a misunderstanding in the testing method. The letter noted that tests conducted by the Qingdao Customs had shown that the stocks didn't contain Erwinia. The Chinese company said it is confident about its product and that it would be ready to send samples that are on board the Hippo Spirit ship to a third-party agent agreed by both parties for tests. But the Director General of Agriculture, Professor Ajantha De Silva, had written to the chairman of the Sri Lanka Ports Authority on the 22nd, instructing to deny entry to the ship. The letter also says that the Chinese company has not been given a permit to import organic fertilizer. Meanwhile, marine traffic, which tracks the movement of ships, shows that the Hippo Spirit ship has been at the Malacca Strait for several days. Meanwhile, a court order has been issued blocking payments to China's Qingdao Seawind Biotech Group Limited or its local agent for the fertilizer stocks in which harmful bacteria was detected. The Commercial High Court had issued the order based on a request by the Ceylon Fertilizer Company. This reaffirmed that the National Plant Quarantine Service has detected harmful bacteria in the fertilizer stocks.
කුසකර්ම දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ අධ්‍යක්ෂ ජනරල්වරයා විසින් මේ ලබා දී තිබෙන තීන්දුව
We are of the stance that this decision taken by the Director General of the Agriculture Department must not be reversed because the destruction that this government has caused to the agriculture of this country and to the lives of farmers is more than enough. Our entire ecosystem will be in danger when these hazardous microorganisms enter our country. Therefore, this has to be stopped immediately. We suggest that we should take swift steps to put a stop to this pressure exerted on us by the Chinese embassy and the Chinese Qingdao company. We are an independent and sovereign nation. It is our responsibility to protect our earth and our ecosystem. Therefore, we have to stop this unnecessary Chinese intervention.
පද්ධති මේක ආරක්ෂා කර ගැනීම අපේ රටේ පුරවැසියන්ගේ වගකීමක්. ඒ නිසා මේ කරන බලහත්කාරී මැදිහත් වීම වහම නතර කළ යුතුයි.
His Holiness Pope Francis has written to the Archbishop of Colombo on the April 21st attacks.
In his own handwriting.
His Holiness Pope Francis has sent a handwritten letter on the April 21st attacks to the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. The letter reads, quote, "This situation makes me very sad. I promise to pray more and I remain ready to do whatever you consider opportune. Tomorrow, I will speak with the Secretary of State about it. Please count on me and indicate what would be best to be done from here." End quote. An online webinar was held to create awareness among Sri Lankans in Europe on seeking justice for the April 21st attacks. It was attended by Sri Lankans in Italy, Switzerland, France and Belgium. Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit, was present.
The president, he went around campaigning during his election campaign saying that he will surely create a secure atmosphere for the people in Sri Lanka, and that he will ensure that justice is done according to the recommendations of the Commission. And he also met some of our bishops and assured them of this before the election. Then after the election, after he was elected with a large, quite consistent majority, mostly from the voters who were very keen to ensure that this attack be investigated and justice be done to the people concerned, the president, after the election. And again, he assured us that all the recommendations of the commission will be implemented by him. But unfortunately, just 2 days after he received this document, he called me and told me that he finds it difficult to implement some of the proposals or recommendations of the commission. And I told him, well, he has to be independent and he must allow somebody to instruct somebody to carry out these recommendations as they are made by the commission. That is, he said he will accept, he accepted to do so. Then soon thereafter, he appointed the 6-member ministerial committee to recommend what has to be done or what has not to be done and so on. So that was a form of politicization of the recommendation, so that you choose what is easy for you and neglect the others. And as a result of that, with the new change of the Attorney General, now it has come to a stage where action is being taken only against a few Muslims who had practically some kind of link with the terror group, but all the other recommendations have not been implemented. The former president has also been listed for prosecution, but nothing has happened in this case also. So at one time they said there's a big brain behind it. Later they said the big brain is somebody, and they try to pass the blame there. So there have been a lot of politicizing, uncertainty and all that, and that has created a serious sense of frustration in the minds of everyone that justice, after all, will not be done.
Indian Coast Guard officers have arrested 2 Sri Lankan fishermen in the Nagapattinam for violating Indian maritime boundaries.
The 2 fishermen arrested in India last afternoon are residents of Velvetiturai, Jaffna. They have been handed over to the Vedaranyam Coast Guard. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka Navy says it has handed over the body of the Indian fisherman found at the Kalangare beach in Point Pedro to Indian authorities. The body was returned to the family of the deceased fisherman by Kottepattinam Fishermen's Association, which accepted the body from the Indian Coast Guard.
Several areas near the Nuwara town were flooded after heavy rains this afternoon.
Our correspondent reported that floods in some areas reached 5 feet. This was after the Thalagala Oya overflowed. Authorities took steps to rescue a group of people trapped inside a house. Traffic along the Nuwara Udapussellava main road was disrupted due to bad weather. Meanwhile, a bridge constructed in 2008 in Hewa Hatta Kandy collapsed due to heavy rains. The bridge was constructed connecting the Hope Estate and Patramale. Nearly 700 people from 122 families use the bridge daily.
Authorities are conducting a project to develop the landscape of the National Museum in Colombo. Newsfirst Senita Senanayaka reports.
Established in 1877, the Colombo National Museum is the living embodiment of Sri Lankan heritage. When you drive by this premises in your vehicle these days, you will see the entire front lawn of the museum under renovation. What is this renovation activity? The landscape of the Colombo National Museum hasn't been developed for centuries. The museum lawn extends 8 hectares. Dr. Manori Gunatilaka is the Deputy Director of Entomology at the Colombo Museum. She is heading the project to develop the lawn in 6 stages. She says the first and second stages, which cost 43 million rupees, will end in December this year. The landscape of the museum's front lawn and the east side would be developed under this. Attractive shrubs will be planted and pipes will be installed to water plants through small devices.
Finally, several religious programs were held to commemorate the 3-month death anniversary of the late former chairman of the Capital Maharaja Group, R. Rajamahendran.
An all-night Pirit recital was held at the Malika Kanda Mahabodhi Agrashravaka Mahavihara under the auspices of Chairman of the Sri Lanka Mahabodhi Association, Venerable Banagala Upatissatero. A group of officials of the Capital Maharaja organization, including Group Director of CMG, S.C. Veerasekara, attended the Pirit recital. An almsgiving was organized for the Mahasangha this morning following the all-night Pirit recital held last night. A group of executive officers of CMG took part in the event.
The 80 Club building at Independence Avenue, which was renovated recently, has been declared open. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa presided over the event. We leave you tonight with that story. And of course, for the News First team, my name is David Paldano, along with our sign interpreter for tonight, Taraka Gabriel. Take care and good night.
The 80 Club building was renovated after it was taken over by the Urban Development Authority in November last year. The Sri Lanka Navy had carried out the renovation. 80 Club was named after the room 80 at the Queen's Hotel in Kandy, where its inaugural first meeting was held. The government is planning to enhance its facilities and provide star-class hospitality equals to the Water's Edge Hotel.